All right, so let me go ahead and share my screen again. All right, so here that page is again. So again, this is how you're going to receive credit for your sessions. So hopefully you've already seen this. Let me leave it up for one more minute. I just want to make sure that everyone sees this because I know that credit is important for renewal. All right, we're going to get started. I'm super excited to have you here. This is 1, 2, 3, go global. And at the top of this screen, you will see a bit.ly. This will give you access to this presentation. So if you want to go ahead and enter that bit.ly in, I will stick it in the chat. We do that real quick. All right, so that is the presentation. Change it to everyone in meeting. All right, there you go. So if you'll go ahead and put that in, that'll give you access to the presentation. All right, while you're doing that, my name is Kendra Jarvis. I'm an instructional technologist for Buncombe County Schools in Asheville, North Carolina. I'm also an adjunct professor for UNCA and an education consultant for school districts in several states. I do lots of different things, but my favorite thing is to talk about global education. I started out as a middle school teacher. I taught 8th grade English for many years. I thought that I would transition to high school, and I didn't because I really fell in love with middle school. So I hope that there are some middle school teachers out there today. And if there are, perhaps you know what I'm talking about. Other people that don't teach middle school, they're always like, what do you do for a living? And when I said I taught middle school, they would do like the sign of the cross. So if you're a middle school teacher, you probably had that too, that reaction. But I love middle school. I taught 8th grade for lots of different years. And then after that, I transitioned to central office and worked as a secondary literacy coach, supporting secondary teachers on how to incorporate literacy practices into their classroom, all middle and secondary grades and all subject areas. And then from there, I transitioned to an instructional technologist. And so that's what I currently do. It's nice because I get to use that technology, which is a passion, and I still get to work with students, and I get to work with teachers, and I get to do this global education in my current job as well. So if you think back to your classroom, not last year because that was all different, but before that, how many of your students would you say have traveled internationally? I always ask that question when I'm in the classroom, and there are a few. So there are always those few, those blessed few that have traveled internationally. When I ask how many of you have traveled across the United States, I get a few more. And then I ask how many of you have never traveled out of North Carolina, and there are a lot. There are some of your students, I'm sure, especially if you live in a smaller rural area, who have never traveled out of that town. we used to take 8th grade trips when I taught 8th grade. And one year we went to the beach, and I cannot tell you how many of my students had never traveled to the beach. So I always remind my daughter when we go every year how blessed she is to be able to go to the beach, because there are students that she goes to school with that have never been to the beach. So I say all of that because I want to start with the why. It is so important for our students to be able to understand that global perspective, just because they're going to be working with people of all backgrounds. And so it's important for us as educators to instill the ideas that we are more similar than we are different, and to value those differences so that we produce and we graduate as global competent students. So with that being said, that's going to be our why today. I'm going to pause here and let you look at our learning objective today and the DLC. So we always want to make sure that these sessions align to those DLCs. And just that you understand today, the purpose of this session is to talk about global, but also to leave understanding that global doesn't have to mean across the ocean. It could mean across the state. It could even mean across your school district. So global does not have to mean someone way over on the other side of the world. So we're going to talk about some different things that you can do to help students collaborate and connect. But when we talk about those things, know that it doesn't have to be some big thing where you have to find another classroom that is across the world. It could be a classroom across your district or across your state. And hopefully we will gather some information from one another where you can share emails and connect your classes that way for this upcoming school year. We're also going to look at some free digital tools and activities that'll encourage that creative process and a collaboration among students in your classroom. All right, so we're going to go ahead and move forward. This session, it has evolved over many years, but I called it 1, 2, 3, go global because I broke it down into 3 steps. Really going global is those 3 steps. The first one is to connect. The second one is explore. And the third is to create. I'll always have people say, hey, Kendra, how do I connect to other classrooms? And so what I say to them is most everyone has some sort of social media. That is where I would start. Start with your social media. Open up Facebook if you got Facebook. Open up Twitter. I make tons of connections on Twitter. So if you're not on Twitter, I would urge you to get on Twitter and at least be a lurker. If you're on Instagram, start with Instagram. But go through your list of connections and figure out where these people live. Let's see if I can pause and let this person in. All right, sorry, I'm gonna have to pause every now and then, let people in. So look through your list of connections. Figure out where they live and places that you're interested in making those connections. A lot of us have connections with people who are military, and that is a great way to connect. I have a friend who used to live in England. She was in the military. And I just emailed her, or not emailed her, I messaged her on Facebook one day because she has 2 girls. And I said, hey, would your girls' teachers be interested in connecting with classrooms in North Carolina? And it was as simple as that. So that is a great way to find those connections as well. So start with your social media. Everyone has someone on there that knows someone that can help. Okay, that's step 1. Once you've got those connections, step 2 is explore. There are a myriad of digital tools that will help you collaborate and connect globally. And we're going to look at those today. So explore resources. Figure out which tools you can use to have students work together virtually, which we're really good at now, I think, to collaborate and create something. So explore those tools. Find one tool that you want to try. Don't find a whole bunch of them. Start small so you're not overwhelming yourself or your students, and find one tool. Then use that tool for students to create something. So very simple. 1, 2, 3, go global, connect, start with your social media. Look and see if you have any of those military connections, or a friend or a family member has a military connection. 2, explore digital tools that you can use to have students collaborate and create. And 3, have them use that digital tool to create something together. All right, if you are hopefully on my presentation, and the link is up here, okay, if you will click right here, it should open up a Google Doc. And now I'm second guessing myself. I just want to make sure that I change my sharing settings. I did, good, okay. Go ahead and add your information. And this way, I can share it with all of you, and we can connect with one another. So just, I know, be careful about typing on top of each other, but let me give you just a few minutes to add your information. And it's so nice to see that there's real people on this conversation with me, because I haven't seen your faces yet. So I'm going to pause and let you add your information. And then this is a great way that we can connect our classes. I'm going to stop sharing for a minute. I'm going to stick that. So there's the direct link. Okay. I'm learning some new things because some of these cities are new to me. Ms. Lunsford, I will be working with you this school year at Valley Springs. I'm your blended learning coach. So Laurie, there's the direct link to the presentation. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and move forward. So again, I know we had someone that just joined. The bit.ly is at the very top of the screen for the presentation. So it's bit.ly/global NCBOLD.1. All right, here we go. All right, so this is a link to my website, bit.ly/global /go global NC. This should take you to my website. And it should look like this. Right, so hopefully you're looking at my website at this point. Okay, if you're having trouble, just let me know. And I can stick, actually, let me just go ahead and do that. Let me stick this in the chat because I know some of you were having issues with Bitly, or I think this should take you to the direct link. Okay. All right, would you guys do me a favor? You don't have to turn your camera on, but can you give me a thumbs up if you are on my website? Okay, awesome. See, Abigail is. All right, perfect. I just want to make sure, thank you. Just want to make sure that I didn't move forward too fast. Okay, cool. All right, if you want to bookmark this, this is going to be something that you can come back to over and over again. It's updated pretty often. And let me just tell you just a little background about what I did. I had been collecting global things for a long time and creating global projects, collaborations, sites for a long time. And I would always share them in my professional development. And it got so large that I was like, I'm going all over the world, literally on the internet, to this site, to this site, to this site, showing teachers all of these cool resources. But it's taken a lot of time because I have to go to all these different sites to show these. What if I pulled them all in on one site? So that's what I did. Some of this stuff is mine. Some of this stuff is not mine. If it's not mine, I've given people credit and linked you to where you can access it on their website as well. So that's kind of the background of this. It's pretty big website that I've created, but I wanted it to be a one-stop shop. So 2 years ago, I'm going to just explain some of these pictures. I had the opportunity to travel to Guatemala with 7 professors and teachers from North Carolina to deliver professional development at a charity school there called Camina Segura. And it really changed my life. The picture that just popped up on the right, that's the living conditions of students there. Their parents work at the largest trash dump in Central America. I say that because these students are probably never going to leave the area that they live in Guatemala. And so part of my job was to deliver global professional development to those teachers. How can they make those connections with their students and open up the world to their students who will probably never leave Guatemala? And so some of the things that you're going to see today are some of the things that I shared with them. So you can come back and look at some of the pictures. They're really great. But we're going to go ahead and start with travel the world from home. And we're going to go down to the very bottom. Okay, we're going to click on live streams. That's where we're going to start. So live streams is really funny how I decided to start using these in the classroom. I think they are my absolute favorite global activity to do with my students. And there are a lot of fun things, a lot of valuable things, but there's so much you can do with these live streams. So every summer, my family travels to Curry Beach, North Carolina. It is maybe in the top 3 favorite spots in the entire world for me. I just love it. And it was in the middle of December and it was snowing and I was really missing the beach. And I was like, I wonder if there's a webcam. And so I found this webcam at the beach. And so I sat in my living room with my laptop, drinking my coffee with snow pouring outside, watching the ocean. It was amazing. And so I started thinking, I'm like, this would be really cool to use in the classroom. How could I do that? And so I started exploring live streams. And this top list here are some of the best live streams that are out there. The Monterey Bay Cam. Let me just click on it and show this to you. And this is a ThingLink. Just if you've never used ThingLink, it's amazing. It's been around for a long time. But it essentially, you can put targets on top of text or a picture, and it makes it clickable. So I created this live stream sheet that you're seeing or slide in Canva, and then I opened it, I added it to ThingLink and created these little targets. So it's fun to use. Just FYI, if you've never used it before. All right, so I want to show you Monterey Bay. And if I ever click on something and you can't see it, just in the chat, let me know, please. Okay, because sometimes that actually happened yesterday, and I kept on talking, and finally someone said, we can't see what you're talking about. So please let me know. So these are all the live streams that they have. And let me just tell you about these. It's Pacific time. So some of these are only open Pacific time. So if you try to open some of these at 8 o'clock in the morning, it's not going to be a live stream because they're not open yet in California. So just know that. But I'm going to show you the Jelly Cam. And I'm not sure if they're quite open yet for live stream. Yes, see, it tells you 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. So if it's not live, they have the recording. And so this is a recording. But if we come back when they're actually open, it's going to be live. But let me just go ahead and play this. I love this one. It's very relaxing. So let me just talk about this real quick. There are lots of different ways that you can use live stream in the classroom. This one in particular, I know a lot of my teachers use this for brain breaks. Instead of playing music, or as students come into the classroom and you want to create this relaxing environment, they'll put this up on their smartboard and just let students come in and come into that calm setting. I had a teacher that, another way that this can be used is, I had a teacher that was starting a unit on sharks. And when she surveyed her students, she said, how many of you have ever been to an aquarium? And I think she had one kid, and that one kid had seen a shark live. Well, she pulled up the shark cam and they could see the sharks moving. And so what she said, okay, pull out your science journal and let's do a scientific observation. I want you to sketch what you see. I want you to pay attention to what the shark looks like. I want you to pay attention to how it moves. I want you to pay attention to its habitat. And that's how she started her shark unit. They couldn't observe a real live shark because they didn't have the funds to travel to the nearest aquarium, but they could use the live stream to do that. And they were seeing a live shark being live streamed from an aquarium. So that is one way that you can use live stream. So again, this is one of my favorite ones. I use it when I just need to have some think time. All right, I am going to, let's see. My little black box is in front, hang on, with my controls. All right, so I'm gonna pop back. All right, so I want to show you some of the other ones. Okay, so you've got the kelp forest cam. You've got a penguin cam, which is really cute. The open sea cam is pretty awesome. And then there's a shark cam that I was talking about. So I'm going to give you just a minute. Hopefully you're on Monterey Bay, and I want you just to explore. So let me give you 1 minute just to explore some of these cams. Make sure your volume is muted so that we don't all hear this going off on your screen. So 1 minute, just explore. I'm gonna stop sharing for right now. All right. All right. So in the chat, if you will add one thing that you found while you had that time to explore. What is one thing that you found that perhaps you could use in your class some way? Yeah, so Valerie looked at the bald eagle one. We've used that for life cycles, which I know in elementary that they study. Yeah, and John looked at earth cams. So y'all explored some of the other ones. Okay, cool. That's fine. I love earth cams. That's my favorite one. Cool. Perfect. Yeah. Haywood, I have not thought of that one. That's a great one. Yeah. Tamisha said when teaching about habitats, this would be really cool. I agree. Yeah, we've used that for habitats as well. Perfect. All right. So hopefully you've explored a few things. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. And let me talk about, and that's not the screen I want to share. All right, let me talk about a few more. All right, here we go. So San Diego Zoo is similar. They have, you know, elephants, lions, you know, all of those African animals are the same. The NASA live stream. Now let me talk about that. Because of COVID, they haven't been reporting, but sorry, let me get my thoughts together. On that site, they will tell you, and let me just click on it so you can see it. They'll tell you when they're going to go live next. Yeah, see, July 21st, Wednesday at 10:30 a.m. and that's Eastern time. So that one's pretty cool because I know in is it sixth grade? I can't remember. Study space. I know in elementary you study like moon phases of the moon. I just don't remember what grade level. But this might be good to work with those standards. So if you want to do this one's pretty cool. Just know that they schedule it, and so you'll have to make sure that you connect when they schedule it. Okay. All right. So let me talk about Nautilus Live. Let me go to that one. This one's pretty cool, and they did stop after COVID, but it looks like perhaps, yeah, it looks like they're going to start up again exploring. But this is a scientific exploration ship, and they study geology and biology and archaeology in the ocean. So this is live right now. This is where they are. But the coolest thing is they will travel to all these different places, and you can live stream with the scientists underwater, and you can hear them talking about what they're seeing. And so that is really cool. I've had students watch this live that are in biology class and that are interested in science and underwater exploration. So this one is really, really cool. But again, they schedule when they're going to go live. So just make sure that if you're interested in this, that you connect during that time. And again, during COVID, they stopped the exploration because I guess they all couldn't be in the quarters, the close quarters with COVID. But hopefully they're starting. It looks like they're going to be starting back up again, which is really exciting. So this one's fun to check out as well. All right, so I'm gonna play a little game with you guys, and hopefully I do this correctly as far as sharing. So one of the things that I do in the classroom is I use EarthCam, and we travel around the world using EarthCam. And so this is how I structure this lesson. I come into the classroom and I say, okay, guys, today we're going to travel around the world and we're going to look at some live streams. And we'll go to the Google site. And on the Google site, there's a little video that shows students how they create these live streams. And it talks about the Google car, because we all know the Google car, but there's also a Google motorcycle, because in Europe they have these little narrow streets that the car can't go through. There's also Google trekkers. So these are people that are hired by Google. You could apply to be a trekker too if you're ever interested. They wear this backpack and it weighs about 40 pounds and it's got this big, I don't know what you call it, stick or whatever. And then there's this sphere on top. And the sphere is a camera and it's a 360 camera and it constantly rotates and it takes pictures as they trek. And these trekkers are hired to go places that the cars and the motorcycles and the boats can't go to. So they might hike, maybe where I'm from on the Appalachian Trail where these other vehicles can't go. And they take pictures along the way. And then they use a program and stitch the pictures together. And that's how we get our 360 videos. So I share that with students because it is a STEM career. And some students might be interested in that, which I think is pretty cool. So we start out that way. And then I say, okay, have any of you ever been on a trip with your folks or friends? And when I'm traveling in the car, especially, I get really tired and I might fall asleep. So imagine, and you're gonna have to imagine with me, that you're in the car and you fall into a deep sleep. And when you wake up, you're really groggy and you have no idea where you are. You can't use technology and you can't talk to anybody. How would you figure out where you are in the world? And so then the students and I make a list on the board. So based on what they say. So they might say things like, I might look out the window. I might put my hand out the window and see what the temperature is. I might look at the vegetation. I might look at license plates. I might look at billboards. I might look at the language that the billboards are in. I might look for flags. I might look at the architecture. I might look at the way people dress, okay? All of those different things that makes up culture, right? So we make that list on the board and then I say, okay, here we go. We're gonna travel somewhere. And if I'm in the classroom and I have my projector, I close the projector piece so that they can't see where we're gonna go, because when I pull it up, if it's not full screen, at the very top, it's gonna say EarthCam and then where we are. So if you do this in the classroom, cover up the projector, pull it up full screen, and then open up the projector where they can see it, okay? We're gonna try to do this together online. So I'm gonna show you a place somewhere in the world, and I'm gonna share, let's see. Oh, give me just a sec. Let's see if I can pull this over here. All right, let me try to share it. Here it is. All right, let me make sure it's full screen before I do that. I may not have done this right. I struggle with this, guys. I didn't do it right. I'm sorry. Okay. So I did not do this right, but pretend like I did. Okay, let's just pretend. So this is EarthCam, and you probably saw where it was, but I want to show that EarthCam is so cool because they have volume. and it can add. So give it just a sec.
Whoop, whoop, whoopee! Yes, long weekend! Whoop, whoop, whoopee!
Whoopee, your celebration buddy.
Whoop, whoop, whoopee!
All right, there we go. Okay, so they have volumes. So this is so cool because kids can hear the sounds of frog. They can, if they listen closely, they might be able to hear people speaking in the different languages. But if kids didn't know where we were, this is how I would do this lesson. I would say, okay, remember that whole list that we created? Okay, and I would remind them, we look at it together. Okay, architecture, we look at how people dress. We look at like what the weather looks like, right? Maybe we look at cars. I would say, okay, I want you to use those things that we just made a list of, and I want you to really observe this scene. And I want you to write 3 things down that can help you identify where we are in the world. Okay, so that's what I want you to do right now. In the chat, I want you to share one thing that you could use in this scene that could help you figure out where we are in the world. Go ahead and add that to the chat. Oops. So what would you use in this scene to help you figure out where we are in the world? Yeah, so the clock, yes. The court square. The architecture in the buildings. And maybe what I would say is, okay, guys, does this look like the United States? Does this look like where I live, downtown Asheville? You know, of course they would say, oh no, it's different. I'm like, well, what's different, right? So sometimes you might have to prompt them. Yeah, that's true, Valerie. Yeah. So I would have them list those 3 things, right? I would have them share those 3 things, just call on a few people to share. And then I would have them guess. All right, where are we? All right, so that's how we would play this game. They really get into it. It's a lot of fun. And so let me see if I can do this again and do it the right way now. I'm sorry, I messed it up. I'm not the best at doing it virtually. If I can't do it virtually, we'll just kind of walk through it, okay? All right, let me make this big. Okay. All right, so I'm wondering, you have to let me know if I did it correctly. You should be seeing a different scene. If you are, can you give me a yes in the chat? Oh, you see me? Okay, I didn't do it right. All right, thanks. All right, let me just pull this one over. You can hear it though, I bet. All right. Back. All right, I'm gonna show you this one. Wall. And I'll always use this one. So hopefully you're seeing the Western Wall now. Okay. So when you're looking at this down here, this is where you make it big, okay? So students can't see where it is. And I do want to point out that this one does have volume. This one's pretty cool because it looks like they're doing some construction on the western wall or in that area. This one's really cool because it pans in. So you'll see, hopefully we'll be looking at it long enough for you to see it pan in, but it'll get really close to the western wall. And it doesn't usually look this busy, but this is really cool because this is a place that most of our students will never go. And I don't know that I've ever had a student in my classroom from Israel or this area that can talk about the Middle East. But I know that this is in our content, especially in middle school, 6th grade, I believe, where you study the different religions. So this is where you could pull this in. And it looks so different from where we are. So again, I would go through that same process with students. But as it pans in, you'll really get detailed images of the wall. And you can see the traditional garb that people are wearing and that they're praying. So it's really cool because it's different from what our students see every day. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and exit out of this. And I'm going to mute it. So this is what I would like for you to do. If you have not explored EarthCam, I want you to take a few minutes and look at EarthCam and notice you can go all over the US and then you can go many places in the world. So once you've looked through EarthCam for just maybe one more minute, I would love for you to open up this Padlet that's on our website. It's the yellow one. And what you'll notice is that it has cards for grade levels. And depending on what grade level you teach, whether it's elementary, intermediate, middle, high, or post-secondary, or adults, maybe your instructional coach, I would love for you to add how you could use the live streams with your specific age group. So you're going to click on the yellow one that's to the right. And if you're interested in how other teachers are using these live cams, you can look at the brown one on the left. I'll turn on some music while you do that. I see lots of good ideas being added. So if you've not added your idea to the Padlet, if you could go ahead and do that. So we're going to be moving on to this. I can show you a few other things. And I know it's easy to get sucked into EarthCam. I'm going to stick the Padlet. There's the Padlet link if you need a direct. Okay, there it is. So I don't know if anyone teaches like kindergarten or even preschool, but one of the things that we talked about is if you pull this up on your smart board, anything, okay, and you're studying a letter, say it's a letter B, you can have kids come up to the screen. First, let them observe, and then come up to the screen and circle or point out things that they see on the live stream that start with that letter or that blend. It's just a different way of using this if you are teaching those lower grades. I did want to say this. Let me see if I still have EarthCam. Let me exit out of that one and that one. Let me go back to EarthCam because I do want to show you something real quick. When you're here on the main screen, I'm going to show you how to navigate this because it's a little tough. Don't ever use the search bar because if you do that, you're going to get cams that are broken. The easiest thing to do is to go to the 3 lines, I think people call it like the hamburger, and go to EarthCam Network. It just started adding ads, so sorry about that. But then you can go to, let's go to Canada, and let's go to the CN Tower. This is what's really cool. The majority of EarthCams have the date at the bottom, they have the time, and they have the weather. So one of the things that you can do is use this to talk about time zones, right? You can also use this to, if you're teaching weather, to graph or track weather change over time. So that's another way that you can use this, just a different way. So that would be great for math, right? If you're doing some graphing, or a science classroom as well. You can use this as if you're an English teacher as like story starters, or put yourself in a scene, right? So there's lots of different ways that you can use this. All right, so hopefully you've had a chance to add to the Padlet. If you would in the chat, I would love to know what grade level you teach. So if you'll go ahead and add that to the chat, if you'll add to the chat what grade level you teach. So K8, wow. 4th, awesome. 4th, wow, 3 4th grade teachers. Middle grades, awesome. 3rd grade, high school and adapted EC, awesome. High school, 6th grade, oh, cool. We've got a variety here then. Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna go back to my website, okay? And this is what I want you to do. We're at the top, travel the world from home, and we're going to talk about virtual field trips real quick. So I believe it's important to give students choice because it makes things more engaging for students if they have that choice. We like choices as adults. We don't like someone saying, here, you have to do this. We would prefer they say, here, you can choose to do this, or even this. So 2 or 3 choices. And so this is what I have created here, is just a simple choice board. And if you click on it, you should be able to make a copy, but it links to some virtual field trips. And so I might give students this at the beginning of the week, and throughout the week, if they have time, when they finish an assignment, they can choose to go on a virtual field trip somewhere. And I might try to find virtual field trips that match the content that we're learning, so that it's an extension of what we're doing in the classroom, and so that it supports what students are learning. And so I would pair this with a Google form, which is down here, okay? And the students would fill out the Google form. It would be something really simple, just so that there's some sort of accountability, so that it might have, what their name is, where they went, and something that they learned about where it is that they explored, or what was the coolest thing that you saw on your virtual field trip today. It can be very simple. I don't want to overwhelm them with questions, but this is an activity that you can use with your students for those virtual field trips. If you scroll down, this links to Catlin Tucker. Hopefully you know who that is. She is a guru of blended learning, but she talks about pairing virtual field trips and scavenger hunts. So she had her kids go on an Egyptian tomb adventure, and it was just to a museum. And she went ahead and went on the field trip herself and created questions that she wanted them to find the answers to. So as they went on the field trip, they filled out a Google form with the answers to her questions. So it was a scavenger hunt. So it just makes things a little bit more fun. So this is an activity that you could do with your students. And so the next thing we're going to look at, same place, travel the world from home. We're going to click on 100 plus virtual tours. So go ahead and click there. So why is that not working? Let me go ahead and stop sharing for just a moment. Okay, I'm gonna check the chat. Let me refresh my page. All right, so hopefully you are seeing the virtual tours 360. So I told you before, I have been collecting global things for a long time. And I would have students go on these virtual field trips, but I would have to go here to go on this one and here to go on this one. And I would go to this website and there were 10 listed. I wanted a place that teachers could go to find a myriad of virtual field trips and activities for their students. So I've been curating them. And so this has, I think, about 250 virtual field trips and 360 experiences that are free that you can use in your classroom. And you can filter this. So let me show you how this works. You go to filter, you can choose a field, okay, like your subject area. And so if I teach science, okay, I'm going to click on science, apply the filter. And so now I am just looking at the field trips that relate to science, okay? If I want to filter differently, okay, so subject area, or maybe I do virtual tour, see we're studying elephants. Nope, there's not any about elephants. But you can search by keywords as well. So what I would love for you to do is spend a few minutes exploring these. You should just be able to click on the link and go to that virtual field trip. And then I would like you to share in the chat one that you found that you could use in your classroom. So let me give you just a couple minutes. Some of them are 360. So if you have a touch screen, you can use your finger to move around. Some of them have volume, so you may want to mute yourself. So Pompeii, Google Street View, awesome. And so I'm continually updating these. So that's why I wanted you to bookmark. Just gonna check our time. So again, when you find one that you can use in your subject area, go ahead and add it to the chat. Yeah, the ability to filter is really important so that it saves you time, right? We don't have a lot of time, so we can filter and narrow it down. It's awesome. Endangered species, I say that word, yes. Awesome, you guys are finding some that you can use in your classroom. Yeah, the Smithsonian's really cool. And if you can combine that with some sort of Google form, again, really simple, but that accountability piece, I think that is gonna work well for you. If you are not Google District and you use Microsoft, you can use a Microsoft form. You can use a Padlet, whatever you choose. Just make sure that there's a little bit of accountability for them. North Carolina Museum of Art, yep, that's a really good one. All right. For the sake of time, we're gonna move on. So again, you've bookmarked this, you can come back to it later, okay? So we're gonna talk about, we're at Travel the World from Home. We're gonna talk about Explore by the Seat of Our Pants, okay? This is really awesome. And if you're still checking out this field trips, listen, okay? Because this is gonna be really important for you. This is a way that you can connect your class globally with other classes. So Explore by the Seat of Your Pants is a nonprofit out of Canada, and it's free for teachers. If you click here on this page, it should link you to the website. And what they do is they connect classrooms with explorers, scientists, biologists, conservationists, archaeologists from around the world that live stream into your classroom for free. So they have a list. Let's see. Yeah. So like this is their this was their most recent one, and they're not doing a lot during the summer, but they will list the live streams that are upcoming, and it'll tell you the time, and it's usually during the school day. So don't let the 4 to 4:45 in the afternoon scare you. It's just during the summer, but it's during the school day, and you can sign your class up. They allow schools from all over the world to sign up, and they stream live on YouTube. And next to their stream, they have a chat box that your students and you can ask questions. And whoever the scientist is will respond to those questions. But they also have like a little presentation that teaches you about their job and what they do. Now, they also offer camera spots. So you can sign up. Like for this one, there's 0 camera spots. But when it's first released, it'll say 6. And if there's a camera spot, you can click on that and you can sign up for a camera spot. And what that means is that your class will be on Zoom live with other classes and that Explorer. So your kids can go directly up to the camera and ask that Explorer questions. We did this with the 4th grade class last year, and we were able to stream live with a veterinarian in Botswana. He worked with cranes, and he took us outside. We were able to see what that area looked like. He walked us through his exam room. We actually got to watch him do an exam on a crane. So it was really, really cool experience for our students. So that's one thing that you could do. And I'm going to go back here. The other one that you could do is the National Geographic Explorer Classroom. Same concept. And it looks like they're not doing events during the summer, but during the school year, you'll see the events there. Same thing, 6 live camera spots where you can sign your class up to be live via Zoom with the Explorer and the other classrooms. If you're not chosen, that's okay too. You can still watch live on YouTube Live and use that chat box for your class to ask questions. So it's a really cool experience, and classes all over the world join in. When we've done it, we've had classes from Canada, England, I'm trying to think where else, France, all over the US, Mexico. So it's really a neat experience for your students. And I know we're closing in on our time, but this is down here. These are some pictures of some of our classrooms that have done this experience. And this is who I was just talking about, and that's him doing his exam on the crane. So it's a really cool experience for students. And it's a great way for them to collaborate with other classrooms around the world and have a shared experience. So if you've not done that, it's free. Why not? All right, the next thing that I want to show you is Street View Treks. And I'll try to speed up a little bit here. So if you've not seen these before, these are Google Street View, and they are 360 experiences for your students. So I've embedded them here, but let's see, that's not what I wanted to do. Let's click on Kenya. Okay. This is what it looks like. Okay, all of them are a little different. There's one that has sound and it's narrated, which is cool. So this will show you the map of Kenya, and then you can click on these little pins here. Okay, let me click on it again. Move the screen. And so it gives you a little information about where you just clicked, and then I can click in there, and this is what's really cool. There's your 360. So if your students have a touch screen, they can use their finger and move around, or you can use your mouse, grab, move around. And there's lots of different ways, and I'm gonna go slow so I don't make anyone sick. But there's lots of different ways that you can use this in your classroom. You know, this can be a mentor text if you're an English teacher, or if you're another content area and you're reading a text in your classroom, whether it's an article or it's a book. But if it's about Africa or about elephants, this could be that mentor text, right? To give them more background information. You can use this to talk about habitats, right? You can use this to talk about life cycle. You can use this to talk about geography, vegetation. It can be a sentence, you know, not a sentence starter. It could be a story starter. There's all sorts of things that you can do. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna give you just a minute. I want you to explore some of the other Street View treks that are listed there. I'm gonna give you about a minute just to explore. right, if you would, in the chat, will you add what it is that you explored that you think you might be able to use in the classroom? Oh, good. Yeah, polar bears, Churchill, Canada. I've had other teachers say that as well. I think my favorite one is the Everest one. I don't know if anyone looked at that one, but I really like that one. Australia. Yeah, that's a really cool one. Yeah, Colorado River, landforms, awesome. Barrier Reef. Perfect. I'm glad that you found some things that you could use in your classroom. Hopefully this was new for you. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Yes, Trash Mountain. There's, yeah. There is a 360 video on YouTube about Everest and Trash Mountain. Just so you know. All right, so we're gonna move on. My site is huge, so we're not gonna get to everything, but I wanna scooch on over to global projects. And let's talk about some different global projects that you can do with your students. So if you will go ahead and click on interdisciplinary project ideas. And I'm just gonna go through and mention these. So a lot of these have Google Forms and things that are already created for you that you can copy. But one of the things that we've done is lunchtime around the world with students. This would be great if you teach CTE, like foods, or if you teach, science, is to connect with those students around the world. Twitter is a great way to find those classrooms. Create a Google form to send to them and ask them some questions to grab some data. What foods are eaten, at your lunch? What are some usual foods? Why are these foods chosen for your school lunch? A lot of places create school lunches based on season, price, or if it's local. Then ask your students to look at the data and look at the foods that the students say that they have at their lunch and ask them if there's something new for them and if they would be willing to try it. Have them look at the data and compare their lunch to another school's lunch, hopefully in another country because they're going to be different, and talk about what they have in common. And are there new foods that you've never seen before? So there are some resources here. This is a great article. And then this is a copy of the Google form that you can have to use in your classroom. So there are some other global projects that are laid out here that you could do with your classroom. This next one really looks at where our groceries come from, how far they travel to get to us. This one is a culture collage where maybe you assign students a specific place or get them to choose a specific place and create a collage based on research that they've done. And this last one is Global Hall of Fame. So depending on what you teach, maybe it's science, maybe you're studying inventors or scientists or doctors or nurses. Give students a specific continent or country and have them research those people that are famous in that country, and have them create some sort of Adobe Spark video about that person and talking about why they think that person should be in the Global Hall of Fame. So there's lots of other activities that you can do with your students here. Most of these are already started, and you can make copies of those ideas. I'm gonna pop all the way to virtual Valentine's. Has anyone ever done the virtual Valentine project before? This is a project that has been around for a long time. Our district has done this for many years. If you click right here, here's the website. And what they do is they connect classes. So your class would create, your students would create virtual Valentines. So it could be paper and pencil Valentine that they create. It could be with Flipgrid. It could be a Google slide. It could be however they want to create their Valentine. And there's 2 levels. You can create it, and then you can post it on Twitter, and you can use their hashtag. I'm trying to see, here it is, hashtag K12 Valentines, and every other school or classroom that is participating around the world will use that same hashtag. In Twitter, you can search for that hashtag, and it's going to pull up every post that has that hashtag. So your students will be able to see all the classrooms around the world that have created Valentines, which is really cool. That's level 1. That's very simple, dipping your toe into that global activity. Level 2 is you can sign up to connect with another classroom around the world using some sort of conference platform. And you guys can meet online and share your Valentines virtually with one another. So this is a free activity. It usually opens up, I think, in December. So this is something you might want to check out, and it's for all grade levels. It's an easy way to connect your students. All right. So I would love to hear what you're thinking. What is one thing that you think you might like to try in your classroom? So if you will share that in the chat. What is one thing that we talked about today that you would like to try in your classroom? And again, start small. Yeah, the live cams are really simple to do. Yes, the awesome squiggles, especially if you're an art teacher. So again, we can't get through everything on the website. I just wanted to kind of pop around and show you some ideas. And before we leave, I'm going to kind of navigate to the website again and just show you where you might like to look for some other ideas for your classroom. All right, let me share one more time. Next, all right, here we go. So make sure that you look at some of the other ideas here. Awesome squiggles, someone mentioned holiday cards. You've not checked out Google Arts and Culture. It is awesome. It's not just for art teachers. It has amazing resources. So make sure that you check that out. If you are looking for that multicultural lens, this is a great place to look for books, read-alouds, and podcasts to use in your classroom. If you are looking for gamification, here are some ideas here. I'm going to go ahead and click on this. The global games are awesome. If you've never used GeoGuessr, which I know has been around for a long time, it is amazing. It dumps your kids into Google Earth. And it's kind of like the game that we played at the beginning with the live camps, but they have to use this critical thinking skills to figure out where they are in the world. Then they make a guess on the map, and it will give them points based on how close to the real place they were. So it's really fun to use, especially just if you have 5 minutes here and there and you don't have a lot of time to add that global lens into your classroom. This is a good way to do it. There are some other ideas here. If you've not played Carmen Sandiego on Google Earth, it's awesome. So there are ideas here that are really simple to use. I want to quickly talk about collaborations. If you're on Flipgrid, hopefully you are, you can activate Grid Pals. And Grid Pals allows you to connect with other classrooms all over the world, also on Flipgrid. So I want to show you that, hopefully really quickly. I can show it to you. So once you register for Flipgrid, it will ask you if you want to be part of Grid Pals, like if you want to turn that on. And it's going to be up here under your profile picture or emoji. Here's Grid Pals. Mine's active. And what you can do is you can search. So I can search here for other grade levels. So this is what I teach, that grade band. And I am, let's see if I English. All of these little pluses are people looking to connect on Flipgrid. So I can click here. You have to have social media to connect, but I can click here and here and send an invite to see if she would like to connect her classrooms. So make sure you check that out. My friend Sarah has created Epic Pals, which is a way to use Epic books and collaborate globally on Padlet around the same kind of book that you're reading. So that's another idea of how to connect globally. All right, I'm going to stop there. And if you will please go back to our presentation. Okay. I want to make sure that you have time to do the feedback. Okay. Okay. You should be able to scan this. Okay. If you have the app, let me see if I can minimize this. Here we go. These are the instructions, okay, for you all to get credit. If you can't scan, this link should take you where you need to go. Let me see if I can add that to the chat. Let me go back and share as well. I'm going to leave this up here for you for just a minute. So this marks your attendance for this session. And then I want to also put this in the chat. This one is for feedback, please, which would be very helpful. Okay, so I'm going to pop back here. So you've got that QR code. All right, so those are the last things. Again, hopefully you bookmarked my site so you have access to everything. Thanks for being here today. I'm going to hang on if someone has any questions. But I really appreciate you spending your time with me today. And that is my Twitter handle if you would like to connect on Twitter. Thanks, everyone. Use that link. Let me stick it in here. This is the alternative link. Oh no, not that one. Sorry. Let me see. All right, let me grab that link again. Shoot.